What's happening, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Scot Mendenhall. We love all things one-wheels. And today, you're going to go on a journey with us as we're going to test out the capabilities of the range of the new Onewheel Pint X. So enjoy. We're going to talk a lot about the Onewheel Pint X and some other things along the journey. So if at any point you get tired of just hearing my voice, but you want some footage of the new Onewheel Pint, well then, mute us, make it full screen, and enjoy just the ride through Minnesota. With the average temperature today was 41 degrees, with winds gusts up to 30 miles an hour, with an average wind speed of 14 miles an hour. And I give you all the weather details because that does play into range. We're not only going to be riding on asphalt, we're going to ride, I would almost say 75% on gravel roads, and then 25% on asphalt as we transition here very shortly into the gravel. It does make me want to deflate the tire a little bit. I've still left this all stock. I have not touched the tire yet so that we can do some tests that are authentic and straight out of the box. I usually like my PSI in tires about 18 PSI. I think typically on all pints, they're going to be a little bit above 20 PSI. And yeah, 2 to 3 PSI difference makes a ginormous difference. Also, I think I would like to change out the tire to the treaded tire from Craft and Ride. I really enjoyed that tire. So we might do that here soon. We're waiting on a brand new device for changing out Onewheels that we're going to put together a video for. So we're waiting for that piece of hardware to show up, and then we can switch out the tire and stuff. Yes, wearing bright red Uggs. I enjoy riding my Onewheel in Uggs, especially in winter. We bundled up for this. You won't see it, but I do have my snowboarding helmet on and goggles. This is even 41 degrees, riding at around an average speed of 14, 15 miles an hour. Your eyes water drastically. We hope you enjoy as well the screen capture of the phone that's on your screens as you're watching this. We're hoping that that gives you more information on just being able to decipher your own conclusions on the battery and range. The new Pint X is advertised with a range of 10 to 18 miles, I believe it is. So that all comes down to rider size, terrain, elevation, wind, and cold. So I would believe that the ideal testing for this would be a 70-degree day with very little wind, asphalt, and flat. Well, that's not around where I live or office, so we're going to do what we normally do. This is my normal running path. As some of you might have heard that I have been training to run 100 miles, got up to 50 miles, did it in just around 8 hours, ran 50 miles without walking, and then I got COVID a week later when I was supposed to run the 100. So we're back to training for the 100. I think we're going to put it off till May, just because of the weather in Minnesota makes it complicated to train. As right now we're 41 degrees, but I think this Friday a high of 1. And we're going to probably have snow that will stay around for the foreseeable future till spring. We got about 3 inches the other day, but it melted off yesterday. It's just the power of winter in Minnesota. And we love to test our Onewheels in winter because if you didn't know this, Onewheels are amazing in winter. A treaded tire helps you in a long ways, or to go a long ways in the snow and all of the things that come with winter. So I highly recommend, if you can, switching to a treaded tire if you plan on riding in winter, and especially in the white stuff we call snow. For those that live in Australia and you are wishing that we get snow sooner, thank you. We want snow as well. One of the things I've learned while riding on the gravel, it's a little bit more stressful, especially when you're watching a phone, to make sure you're screen recording most of the time and making sure that you have a video camera going, that you can just see that it's just bouncing all over the place. It's not smooth. You got to pick a line much like you would snowboarding. Got to look forward, know where your line is and ride through it, because if you're hitting the pothole at some of these speeds, it will bounce you off of your one wheel, and at anything over 10 miles an hour, getting bounced off of and landing on your knees, not pleasant. And so I was trying to focus on, are there cars, where are the potholes, all those different things, so that when I didn't fall and now have a great video of me hitting the ground that obviously we would play for all of you, but that's not what we were hoping to capture today as we were riding in the elements here. This device that Onewheel has made is a massive leap from the original Pint. Some of the things that have carried over from the original Pint is the Pushback. It's, for me, at about 16.5 miles an hour, I'll get that very harsh, and you'll see it at times where it looks like you're going to elevate really quick. I'll experience that pretty quick at those miles, and it just tells you got to back down, slow back down, and go after it again. I kind of wish that I could have a pushback thing in life, like, hey, slow down, think about what you're about to say to your wife or to your kids, because it's going to complicate things. I wish I had pushback in life, to be honest with you, as harsh as the Pint, because then I would know what I'm about to say I should not say. I mean, if you're with me, you should probably leave a comment down below that you wish you could have a pushback or something that tells you don't do that. There is a horse in the background. I don't know if you'll see it to the left. It's right there. It's beige. Usually when I'm out running, that horse runs along with me, which is so entertaining. We're going to pass some sheep back here. They are entertaining on my runs as well. I've not named any of them. There they are again on the left. This is a pretty fun ride and places to run, because you have so much to see. It's not desolate, and it's not unentertaining. There's a lot to be seen. We're passing a rather large horse barn here, so there's always people out with horses, or crossing the street with the horses, or in that arena with horses. This is about mile 2 in the ride and my runs daily. It's just a cool little spot to get in there and see what's going on today at the horse barn. There's right there. See what I mean? You see the horse there. They I don't know why they bring them out. I don't know if they're cooling them down. I have no idea why they bring their horses out there, but they just do. It's a great distraction from maybe it's a painful run, or you just are kind of wanting to get where you're going. It's a cool little pause in the day. But this ride is an enjoyable ride just because there's so much scenic things to see. This time of year, there are a few farmers here in Minnesota, and they have plowed their fields. They've got their harvest already. And so it's cool to see what they do to prepare it for winter, so that when spring does arrive, they can get after it. And as you just heard me say, we are 2 miles into the ride. Some of you at this point would be experiencing perhaps foot fatigue. My recommendation for overcoming foot fatigue would be carving. That's really the easiest way to overcome foot fatigue. Foot fatigue is where you don't move your feet and your toes fall asleep, your ankles hurt, and it's really because the blood circulation has really got trapped because you haven't moved your foot for quite a bit of time. Like for me, 8 minutes. And if you can carve, it allows your ankles to bend a little bit and get that blood flowing again back to your feet, and that pain, that sensation will go away. Also, the shoes you wear will definitely change foot fatigue. I really recommend Vans, something with a soft sole. Uggs have a soft sole and are very comfortable and warm. When you're riding in cooler temperatures, you create your own wind chill, and at that point you're trying to look to compensate that cooler air that's hitting your body. I have my snowboard pants on because I didn't want the wind blowing on me. I have mittens on, and it's all of those things to continue to make it enjoyable as we're out riding, enjoying the day, but also testing the new Pint X for so many of you that are wondering these things. And we're going to put my full ride on. You'll see where we end and all of those things. I don't want to give those things away. It'll be at the end. But I was watching a video on Onewheel's YouTube channel, and as they are. Jack was the narrator, if you would, in his video, and he's like, we're only going to put half the ride on there because I don't think anyone should be watching over 25-minute one-wheel video ride-alongs. There's a lot of truth to that. However, you want the information, and I felt we would put it all on there without breaking it up so you could genuinely see how long we rode and how far we got, how much percentage of the battery was drained, and all of those things for your enjoyment. Really, it is for your enjoyment in it and for you to learn. I know so many of you really want to know, is Onewheel telling the truth when they say advertise this is what it is? I'm either naive or I just assume the best in everybody. When they put it on a box and they tell me it is, it is. For me, I'm not doing this to question Onewheel. I think this is probably capable of riding further than I even did today. Just, you got to have the right terrain and weather and all those things I've already mentioned. So I trust Onewheel in what they're saying, and I trust them in honestly, I just do. I've always wanted to be a person that assumes the best in people, in organizations, and in companies, because that's way more easier than me feeling like they're out to get me, take advantage of me. And there might be people like that, and that's a bummer that there are people like that. But I'm going to choose to be a person that wants to assume the best in everybody. So that means when I meet somebody the first time, I don't look at them and judge them going, oh, this person is going to behave like this or treat me like that. I don't want to be that guy. I want to look at somebody and go, this person's going to love me in a genuinely friendly way. They're going to look out for the best of my interest because that's what I'm going to do for that individual. Wouldn't the world be an amazing place if that's how people behave, to assume the best? And I know so many of us have been hurt by people. So when I say that, I understand that your story and my story, we have parts in it that we're like, yeah, I assume the best in that person, and they hurt me. And maybe that makes you go to the question, why is it that bad things happen to good people? The quick answer to that is there's two real big choices in life, and that is to love one another. But there is an equal and opposite to love, and that is to hate. And there is hatred out there, and there are people that choose to hate people instead of love people. Therefore, when people choose not to love one another and there's this hate jumps in, well, hate doesn't discriminate, and if somebody chooses to behave in a manner that's not loving, well, then good people get hurt. I don't know if anyone wanted to hear that today, but I'm just freely talking, and just as I talk, I'm going to share some of my thoughts throughout the day and in my ride. And even at this point in the ride, the wind was at my face, or I guess I should say my front of the board, my left foot. Okay, that's my front foot, and you can see where it blows up and stuff. It really, I'm slowing down because the wind gusts were so gnarly at this spot, and I'm trying to carve and get on the other side of the road to see if I can to get out of those wind gusts, because I was riding in it straight on. And at some point here, I begin to go, okay, with the wind gusts, I got to check my range here. I gotta see where I'm at, because I'm coming in on 3.5 miles here, and so I'm like, where are we at? Do I need to turn towards home, or can I add on another mile or two in this? And you'll know when I start to check the phone, because the camera angle will be less enjoyable, I'm sure, because I'm taking the mitten off, pulling my camera out or my phone out of my coat to check it, because I didn't want to really call my wife and say, hey, Hal, can you come pick me up? Because I'm at the walk of shame at the moment. I'm walking my Onewheel back home. I didn't want to do that. And so I am consciously checking my phone just to make sure that we're good on battery percentage and range. And when I check it at about this spot, I think if I remember right, it's 60%. And so I was really pleasantly surprised to see, knowing the wind gusts and knowing the speed I was riding and all of the different things, I was really impressed that I got 60%, 68% or so. I'm good to go. Like, there was no real genuine range anxiety for me, going, oh my gosh, are we going to get there? Can we make this? It was an easy, I should have gone down that other road if range was going to be a problem. Instead, I turned left here, and now I'm still heading away from home. I'm actually in the hunt at this point for a little bit of pavement, because with how these roads are here in Minnesota, they're very, it's almost like riding a rainbow, if you will. It's very concaved. The center line of this dirt road is very high, and the sides are very low, so that the rain will run off. And then the left and right, I'll call them the gutters of these dirt roads, is very loose, sandy gravel. And so if you get too close into there, you run into the potential of really falling off your one wheel. If you ride just in the center, you run the risk of being hit by a car. And so there's this balance of looking behind you and all of those different things. At some points, some of the roads were fun because it felt like you were coming up when you get to the center part of the dirt road and come back down. It reminded me of when I would be wakeboarding or surfing when we lived in Florida. That was super enjoyable, and it's a fun ride, but there is very select places that you can do that on these dirt roads because of the potholes and just the nature of gravel. But I am very close to getting off the gravel for about a mile here, and so it'll be nice to really get into the cars, loosen up the back foot, so that foot fatigue that's creeping in now at around 4 miles, I can carve it out a little bit here and really get into riding. And again, carving and riding it more aggressively, going to drain your battery. So these range tests that you watch people put together, it's not scientific, because I can't control all the elements. The day I had time to do what I'm doing wasn't the perfect weather or temperature, but it was what I had, and that's where I'm riding. And so it's if you're going to be surprised at the end of this or what the results are, just remember, it's not ideal situations. And maybe you're like, ooh, you're dropping some hints at 17 minutes in to what really took place, and did you have to walk home? Maybe, maybe not. Just keep on watching, as the enjoyment for myself riding on the pavement was just nice. I like Onewheel's ability to be very versatile on pavement and on dirt. It's just in trails and on grass and in snow and sand. It really, I've always said this, the weakness of a Onewheel, really, the only weakness is very short steps where you can't get your wheel to hit it, right? If you have long steps, you can just drop down it and keep going. But steps are really the arch enemy of Onewheels, and maybe a dog or two unleashed, as I'm about to pass a few dogs here, and I was watching them to make sure that their owner was going to releash them, so that if they ran at me, there's not much I can do when they're running at you. You know, you could see, right? They looked at me. They were like, should we go knock that guy off his Onewheel Pint X? I really do like this color. The tennis ball green, I think, is what they were calling it. I do like the blue that it released with it. I mean, at some point I'm going to end up putting on rail guards anyways, and so it'll disappear. But while I got it, I'm riding it, and I like it. It looks real sharp. You can, if you look close enough on some of it, you can see we've nicked it up pretty good already, which I was sharing with my kids. Hey, because they wanted to ride it. They have all pints. They wanted to experience the zippiness. I keep saying it. If you haven't seen some of our other videos, we have where we compare this to the XR, and we do takeoff, and man, the zippy, that punch in the XR and the Pint X is very different. We said the Pint X by far has this punch to it, a zippiness, like it just got up and goes. It is so nice. I enjoy riding around constantly 15 to 16 miles an hour, and now I can do that with this, so that makes this very enjoyable. A great ride. It really is. As you can see right there, as I'm on this asphalt here, you can see I just had pushback there. I'm starting to push it a little bit. I'm getting a little bit faster because I don't have the concerns as all the potholes. I can just ride and carve and really enjoy myself with the Pint out there. sadly, we're going to shortly be back to, I shouldn't say sadly, I do enjoy it, but we're going to be back on the gravel and begin to start our journey home in enjoying a late fall ride, which has been very, very enjoyable. And hopefully you are, like I said earlier, enjoying the iPhone capture on the screen as well, just so you get all the information. Sometimes it cuts out because there's a limit on screen recording and I didn't have it in my hands, and so sometimes I'd have to stop it and restart, or I wouldn't stop it, it would just stop and it would have to be restarted. So I apologize for the in and out and inconsistency of that. It's just the nature of screen capture on an iPhone. Maybe you know how to get around that. I didn't, but maybe you do. I'd love to invite all of you guys to set timers or alarms for Sundays at 8 a.m. We always release some kind of one-wheel video as a premiere on this channel. And it's fun to be in a live chat with everybody where we're all talking about the video and what's happening in the life. And then we invite everybody onto our other channel. We have another channel that we're live on every Sunday following the video on this channel. Lily, Joey, and some of my other friends were in studio. We talk about the video and One Wheels and what's going on, and then we always transition into a thought of the day, which we would hope would make your life better and make you better at life. That's really our intentions with that channel. So we'd love to have you on that channel as well. You can go back and check out any of the live streams previously. That channel is called Unlock Church. Go check it out and see what you think. Subscribe to it if you want. Subscribe to this channel if you want. Turn on the bell notifications so you don't miss anything. Drop a comment down below as well. We'd love to hear your thoughts as you're watching this and as we're testing the range. You can ask other questions that could lead to us making other videos for the Onewheel Pint X. As you can see in the phone portion on the screen, I don't know if it's too small for you to read it, but you can see we don't have very many miles on the Pint X. We got the Pint X, and when it had arrived, we had a round of COVID going through the house. We have 8 kids. With my wife and I, that's 10 people that were in some stage of COVID, so we didn't really get out and get to ride the thing. We really quickly started filming videos with it and really haven't rode it a bunch. Plus we have so many other one wheels around here. It's really whatever's the closest you grab kind of deal. So there aren't a bunch of miles on this. We've really put miles on it only in filming. And so as we film this, you get our raw opinion as we are feeling it out and learning about it. One of the biggest things that you will notice in a Pint X versus a Pint is that thickness of where the foot pad is and the rail is. They've added a 1/2 inch of more plastic, and when you get to the side shot, you can see the black underneath it and by the front foot pad and the back foot pad. That's so that they can put more batteries in here, which then gives you the more range and more of that punch, that power, the torque. We want that space. And so some people have suggested if you're concerned about clearance because you ride a lot of trails, you could substitute the front foot pad with a normal one-wheel Pint foot pad, just slip it in there, and you'd regain a 1/2 inch on the front. That will allow you to clear more routes and maybe get up more curbs, potentially. I don't know, just depends on your style of riding, I suppose. But I thought that was a pretty good idea on how to maybe gain back that 1/2 inch if that was really bothering you, if something that you wanted to change out. The lights, as you're getting a good shot of the lights here, I also draw that to your point, or to your thought in this range test. We didn't shut the lights off, so the lights are obviously going to drain more of the battery percentage as we go. Shut them off. Obviously, you don't use as much of battery then. I don't know if it's really that big of a deal, because one, those lights are not bright. I did like in the GT, they talk about how the light is substantially more bright, so bright that they give you an option in the app to dim it. And in the Pint X, I think it's the same Pint lights as before. They're slightly dim. They're not ideal for night riding, but they're there. You can be seen. It's not I didn't buy, this is how I am always with the Pint, or any of these one wheels that I purchase. I'm not purchasing a one wheel because of the lights being bright or not. I'm buying it so I can ride it and get to places and enjoy myself and ride on trails and really have an escape in a busy day, go and enjoy outdoors. It provides that without bright lights. So that's where I sit. I am stoked about the GT. We haven't talked much about the GT here, and that really simply is because we don't have our feet on it. We've only seen probably what you've seen, the videos they've released, which are pretty stoked about. We do have some thoughts on it, and we might release our thoughts on the GT, maybe. But we might also save our thoughts till we get our hands on it so that we don't, again, assume something that's not reality based on what we see. Back to my assuming the best, right? And so we probably won't talk about the GT more than we're really amped about it. I mean, it looks amazing, and it just, I'm so stoked on it. I just am. And so we'll say some of our thoughts on the outside of how stoked we are to get our feet on it at some point, probably because of where we ordered it. You know, we're probably not getting ours till February, March, April, May, June, somewhere there. But that's okay, because we'll have snow on the ground. And we won't be able to do some of the tests, like range won't probably be a thing we can test in dead of the winter here, because it would just be simply too cold. As you can see here, we're back on pavement here. There's this little path. I mean, where we get to live, it's just, we're surrounded by a lot of cool things. Like this path, like, is off the beaten path, and it just takes you around some of the lakes here that we live by. So it's a really pretty view. You're not really getting a good shot of it because you're getting the Pint X, but above those weeds and stuff are some just cool wetlands. So you get to see deer running through there and geese landing there and the trumpet swans. It's really cool. It really is. Maybe you're watching this and you realize, oh yeah, I see why you would ride your one wheel around here. It's really, any time of year, it's amazing. Spring, when all these flowers are blooming, awesome. Fall, when the leaves were changing, it was stunning. And then when we had snow the other day, just white, it's really cool. It really is. If you're still watching this and listening, get a one wheel. It'll get you outside. It'll get you enjoying nature. I always think, when you're having a rough time in relationships or jobs, and get outside will change your perspective. And when you change your perspective being outside, you might find that it's not as bad as you thought. Sometimes creating space allows you to see things differently so that you don't react, and instead you respond. And my thoughts with that reaction to response is, if I'm to react to a given situation, maybe to my kids or to my wife or my friends, and they did something, when I react, I usually say things I regret. I think things I shouldn't, and I do things I shouldn't. I just react quickly. It's without thinking. There's no hesitation. And so what I do is I'm pretty much pouring gasoline on fire, and it just blows up. To respond is to pause, and you're going to have to figure out what your pause is, right? Because everybody's going to be different. Some of you might need to simply implement a 1, 2, 3, 4. You start to count just so you have a moment of, I'm not going to just blow up on this individual. Or you need to kindly just say, hey, I got to step out really quick, so that you can come back in and still say what you wanted to say, but not choosing the opposite of love when you say it, but choosing to love the individual, even if you don't know the individual, because they could be a good person, and if you choose to react and blow the thing up, then there it is again. In the moment, you might have been a good person, but you chose the opposite of love, therefore you're hurting maybe a good person, and you're like, why is this bad thing? See how it's a vicious circle? So we got to choose to respond instead of reacting. We want to put water on situations, which puts it out. It waters it. I hope I'm making sense when I say those things, so that I hope it helps you in relationships, and I hope it helps you with your coworkers and things of that nature. That you're going to diffuse things. You're going to respond, not react. And at the end of the day, every one of us, it's just easy to react. I mean, there's not much self-discipline in reaction. It's what you think and what you feel. You just say, you spout it out with no worries of what the individual is going to feel or think. Now, let me speak to those that, well, that person, they offended me when they said that, did that. We also have to work on not being so offendable. If we could be less offended, we're going to then react less, and we're going to choose to love more than hate if we can be a little less offended by things. You know, we drop videos on a weekly basis on YouTube, and if we don't choose to respond to all the comments instead of reacting, then we would be jerks. If we took offense to everything that everybody wrote about Lily and I and Joey and our loudness and our screaming and these things, and we got offended by it, we wouldn't continue to make videos. And so you got to choose to be unoffendable, which is a choice. And I'm not always saying I get it right. Sometimes I'm offended, and when I feel that offense rising up into me, it's a bit of a guardrail for me when I feel a certain way. Hold on, pay attention to that tension that's being created in my life. It's something for me to learn, something for me to slow down and not explode on an individual. So everything I'm saying today, I only know because I've experienced and gone through it, to be honest with you. As the sun pops out and creates the shadow, and just reminds me, man, the beauty of everything. And those red boots when the sun hits it, yes, please. Something about those red boots, man. They just do it for me when I'm watching this. I mean, go out and get a pair. Your feet will love you for it. Be kind to your feet, you know. As I say that, and I'm the guy that runs a ridiculous amount of miles. I've run so much. Maybe this is too much information for you, but I have more toes with no toenails on it than I do toenails at the moment. There's information for you. I have run, before COVID, this year I had run over 1,500 miles. Isn't that wild? Not road, ran. With my feet, no one wheel. For sure, I've run more than I have rode my one wheels this year, I think, just based on what I would assume in my training and stuff. That's pretty 1,500 miles of running. And it was less than a year, right? From January last year to October. That's pretty wild. Okay. You didn't come here to hear about my running. You came here to hear about this pint in the range. And you're going to start seeing as we're getting much closer to home. We're probably 6 miles in at this point. We're going to hit a stop sign here. And I'm checking at this moment the range and the battery at this point and asking myself, what should I do? Can I continue away from home, or do I need to turn home? Not knowing, because we're 6 miles in or so at this point. Stop sign. I'm all good to go, so I take off. And I check my phone, and somewhere around here, we're around 50% all of a sudden. And it wasn't until mile or 50% that I started experiencing pushback sooner. And that's just because you don't have as much power anymore. That arc of power and torque drops off considerably as your battery continues to go down. And what it feels like is the first 50 takes a long time to burn off. The second 50, your battery seems to go much quicker. So I don't think it's you can look and go, my battery percentage, at 50%, I made it, let's call it 7 miles. So therefore, I'll just double that. I don't think you can go and double it, because I think what happens on these electric devices, as you lose the power, more battery is now burned to continue to feed whatever power you're asking for it. So it burns up the battery a little bit faster. I'm not scientific on this battery situation, and so there are other people that would know the actual scientific terms. And what happens here, I'm just telling you what I've experienced. So take that whatever it's worth. But I definitely started feeling pushback sooner. I started feeling, you just lost a little bit of that punch and zippiness. Still very enjoyable ride. But if I was to compare this to another fresh 100% battery percentage on the Pint X, and I did showed up at a starting line, and we both took off, there's no way. I would probably nosedive into the ground because of me asking for more power than it's got in the battery. And that's some of you guys that, when I say guys, I mean boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, ladies, and women and men. But when I say, I don't even remember what I was saying. I got lost in my men and women little deal there, I guess. But the ride, it changes. Still very enjoyable as I do a roundabout, and my FedEx guy here is not sure what I was doing. But it just, you lose the punchiness, which is fine. You can still get going where you want. It switches for you. And again, if we switched out a tire, all of this information shifts. You put a treaded tire on here. My experience on just the Pint, would you lose top end speed, and you can lose your battery percentage goes down because of a heavier tire. I mean, everything changes when you change that tire. So if you're like me and you want a treaded tire on there, you're going to lose some of the things you're experiencing on a stock tire. You got to be okay with that. There's always a positive and a negative in any time switching out the tires. If you're okay losing top speed, but you get more bite on trails and hills and in snow, well, that's probably a good thing, because if you can't get anywhere, who cares about top end, right? If you can't get traction, top end doesn't really matter anymore. It's something that you can't get going. So, like, why would you do that to yourself? Here, you can start seeing a little bit of pushback here. Okay, this is where my battery percentage is now. I just checked it. I think we're around 39% perhaps. I don't know. Hopefully my phone screen captures on the screen to really confirm. But I just know that we have drastically lost percentage of battery. And now, as I'm trying to climb this hill, there's pushback going. It's just the power I'm requiring of it. It's not there, so it gives me pushback, which now I'm reminded of what I forgot earlier when I got wrapped up in you guys. But pushback's there to keep us from nosediving. Pushback happens when I have required or asked for more power than the battery can give. That is in speed, but also in that torque, in that power. It's not always just speed. Some way, I almost told you how to get going faster, and I hesitate in that because I don't want to be responsible for anybody doing that and then experiencing pushback, riding through pushback, then have nosedive and break a collarbone. So I'll just keep that information to myself, I suppose. Still, I almost told you how to do it, but the pushback is really there to keep you and I safe. And I think that hard pushback is very noticeable, and I kind of like that. The XR doesn't really have that pushback, and I think more people crash on that because of no pushback. I did hear that there is not the Pint kind of pushback on the GT. That's what I saw and heard in Laser's video that they put out the other day on Onewheel's YouTube channel. It's cool to watch him riding around and going up hills and mobbing so well. It got me stoked. Who wouldn't mind comes. But he talked about pushback, and that is not like the Pint. He said it, and you could see it, and that, for a lot of us, we're excited about that. And so now we're going downhill. We're going to make a left-hand turn. We're going to be headed home, and really the excitement of what we saw in this and where we got was pretty cool. We have one last hill to climb, but I'll read you off some of the stats as we wrap this up. Range, I went just under 10 miles, 9.8 miles. My battery used was 64%. My total time of riding was 42 minutes elevation gained was 446 feet. My max speed that I hit was 16.9. I'm pretty sure I saw 17, like just it would hit it and drop back down, but it says 16.9 here. My average speed was 13.8. So that's the information we have for you. I mean, 64% of the battery burned up at 10 miles. That's phenomenal. You can do a little bit and go, yeah, I would have probably got 4 more miles or so. So now I'm up at 14 miles in range. Thank you, Onewheel, for giving me so much more range. That torque and power alone is really, for me, worth some of the extra cost in the Pint X and the enjoyability. I would have never rode this. I couldn't have rode this course with a Pint. I would have definitely had to have called my wife at this point and said, hey, babe, would you come and get me? I didn't have to do that here because of the upgraded batteries. So, what do we learn today? You got a lot more range in this thing than the Pint. It's way worth. I think it's $400 extra bucks, $500 extra bucks for the Pint X. I would save your money and get the Pint X because all of those things are great features. 10 miles on this thing with 64% of my battery used up. Yes, please. So you're asking, why didn't you keep riding? Kind of not permit me to do that. You get back to what I was doing, but I was pretty stoked on it. But you can see here. You can see the pushback here is happening. I didn't experience it very much in the first half of the ride, as I am experiencing towards the end here. So, I'd like to thank everybody if you're still watching. Wow, so cool. Thank you. You are pretty awesome for watching and listening to this point. Would you subscribe to the channel if you haven't? We have more Pint X videos to drop and just Onewheel videos to drop. We have really cool things that we're going to drop accessory-wise that we got our hands on that we're going to share in the next few weeks as well. So subscribe to this channel. Turn on that bell notification so that you're notified when we drop videos so you don't miss them. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on this video and other things down there. Give us some thoughts that you would love to see us record and share with you later so that we would help you be able to choose from what Onewheel you would like, which Onewheel is best for you and your rideability and all those things. And if you're looking for tire reviews and things of that nature, they're all over this channel. You can go to those playlists and find them and click to learn about some of the hottest tires out there that you probably should get your hands on. Replace it on your Onewheel so you can enjoy. Maybe you want a more of a carving feel on your XR. So hey, there's some tires out there that'll give you that. But that said, thank you guys. We really enjoy being able to spend time with you. Be safe out there. Ask yourself, what does love require you to do? And do it. Bye.